pretty good. Played a gig earlier this morning, and I'm loving this new guitar. And I'm kind of here to show you, drop some knowledge on you, and just kind of we both obviously have a lot of enthusiasm about music, guitars, gear in general. So I decided to kind of profile some of the things that I'm currently doing, and we'll swap some things out. Maybe a little bit of stylistic. My stylistic approach. We talked a little bit about this before we started rolling.
Yeah.
But the big thing is we care a lot about music, and we're always trying to evolve and get better. And it's an uphill battle sometimes, but you have peaks and valleys. But such is the music business.
So what does evolving for you look like? You've evolved a bit since I've been here, quite a bit in the last 5 years. But when you got here, you didn't really play country at all, did you? What did you do?
Oh well.
When did you get to Nashville? That's the big one.
I got to Nashville almost about 17 and a half years ago.
Okay.
So things were a lot different. But I got, here's what happened is I went on a spring break trip with a buddy of mine. We were music aficionados. We did Memphis. We did the Crossroads, so the Mississippi Delta area, like Ground Zero and stuff like that. And I go, wait till we go to Nashville, because I was just starting to play country. I first started playing country. I was classically trained, so I've got nails. So I was doing that. There was no pick. So
didn't use a
I was
pick.
still figuring myself out. But when we went to Nashville, that's pretty much when I'm like, if you're a player, and I tried to do the music business stuff and recording stuff because I worked at Rax Tracks in Chicago, but players want to play. It's as simple as that. And when you see the players really play, you're like, wow, that's the magic that, when I first got into music, it was because of Eddie Van Halen. And then boom, speaking of Crossroads, that's when Crossroads, the movie, came out. So you had Steve Vai ripping your head off. I just thought it was a magical world. And I was thinking about this the other day. It's an element that I think musicians, we can still kind of be a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of
I'm
like,
always on about that.
I don't want to grow up. I want to be a Toys R Us kid. In this case, the toys are this, and we're adults, and we have responsibility. But I feel like it allows you to connect with a portion that tends to die when you've got to just worry about paying bills and, a job. So I'm lucky enough to be able to do it. Part of doing that is to practice a hell of a lot and to develop your own voice. And that's probably what we're going to talk about quite a bit today, because that's how I think I've not pigeonholed myself, but like you got to be a chameleon. But like for me, the big thing is preparation if you have the time.
So obviously I reached out. Here's the story for me. I reached out to you before I got to town, and I asked for a lesson, and then you were like, hey, when do you get here? And I was like, next week. And you're like, come to the stage and I'll meet you outside on my break. And we did. You gave me your book, actually. The 2021 book. Studied it like a madman. And I reached out because I'd found you, I don't know how. I found you through a Facebook video or something, and I was just like, you don't sound like anyone else. It was this amalgamation of like Jerry Reed and Pedal Steel and Brent and some other guys who I'd clearly never heard of. And I'm wondering, so you're a classical player who moves to Nashville and you're learning everything. How did you evolve from the Matt that's here 17 years ago into your current who you are? What do you think about in terms of the evolution of yourself and how that can apply to others maybe? Because you've clearly gone a pretty unique transformation to have one of the most unique voices in not just country guitar, but on guitar in general. No one else sounds like you.
Well,
Lord knows I've tried to copy you.
I appreciate it. I mean, really, it's been a long journey of a lot of trial and a lot of errors. A lot of errors. And a lot of it, excuse me, is just kind of like wood shedding and figuring out different places to put things and just different ways to maybe voice chords, different ways to make things musical and melody. The older I get, I'm playing less notes. I wouldn't say a lot less notes, but the showy, shreddy stuff is still embedded in me from being an old heavy metal guy. But really a lot of what it is like, if you're trying to sound like Brett Mason, that's great. And there are a lot of great guys like that, or pick anyone. But in this case, Brent's still alive and he's 10 miles down the road. So you ain't getting the gig because Brent's still around. And so like I'd take some of those things and within them, I think it's a way of like processing it and then being a different output. And I think we're all the same way. It's no different than if you play a song for 10 years and you don't listen to the recording, you're going to let it evolve. And all of a sudden you listen to a recording. That's why I love 106.7, by the way, locally here, which is they stop off at early 2000s, and I'll hear a song, I'll be like, crap, I'm not playing it right. You know, like I thought that this was the recording lick, and it just evolves. And I think that's the same thing with a lot of the licks as you work on them. Huge influence, a huge shout out to Danny Gatton, who was probably one of my favorite. I just ordered his Hot Licks book. I've been borrowing it from my buddy.
Is that the video as well? The one where his amp dies?
It's all the stuff from Hot Licks.
Yeah.
Then they take it from VHS and put it on a book. And
that video is great.
I did a video. It's on my Patreon. I'll be talking about that a little bit. But basically, like, what I'm getting at is like you take the stuff, and I call it lick mining. This is an important concept that if you're intermediate or above, this is a great way of like letting the masters teach you and not just mapping out and here's a here's a Brent Mason lick. Cool, awesome. Like, well, it's not just transposing it. It's not just, that's not it. It's like, what are they doing? Like, okay, well, they're, kind of starting in this A shape right here. They've got a blue note. So can I do anything around that? And so what I mean by that is like you take a lick, and this lick mining concept, which I try to teach all my students once they're advanced enough, is once you understand intervals and all that, it's kind of a numbers game. And I don't mean to make it sound so academic, but really what it is kind of like, okay, I'm in this shape, I have a flat 5 here, and then I do a flat 3-3 thing, ending on the root. Well, the thing is like, once you kind of understand that, you get, in my opinion, after the 1000th time that you're like, okay, I kind of get it. And I'm not just saying that that's a Brent Mason lick. I'm just saying it's a double stop kind of country lick. What you kind of do is you're like, well, that's pretty cool. Well, that's only in one position. So can I take that same concept and...
What's interesting, Matt, is every single player I look up to and love in this town, you, Bork, Mateus, and like you've all said the same thing that I say. It's not just the notes, it's the concept behind, right?
Yeah, and when I write stuff, the big thing is also phrasing. So that was just like, I call them like, music store licks. Yeah, you might turn ahead or whatever, but you know what? How are you gonna fit it in? The great ones can do all that stuff, but I've heard this a lot about the Nashville players when they're playing on recordings. It's like, that might be what I do to warm up, and then I might go, okay, and then when they hit record, it might be, that might be the lick because less speaks more, and that's why there's only a select group of master session players. And what I mean by that are players that are playing on big time records. And I think the common misconception that a lot of people get is that they move down here, they're gonna be the next Brent Mason or whatever. Bro, you're way too late for that ride. Like I said, there's already one of them. And on top of it, records are cut differently, and they were allowed to play on some of the stuff. Good luck with that if you're trying to do that. The key to that would be write your own song. So you have like a Brothers Osborne type of thing. That might be a valuable modern day kind of thing that does it. It's just a different time period is what I'm getting at.
Speaking of writing tunes, you write a lot of tunes.
Yes, I've got some instrumentals.
You've got an album. I've listened to that album.
Yeah.
I want to shout out the last track on that, which is the Cantina Band tune from Star Wars.
So that's kind of like how the big thing when people are like, hey man, I love how the way that you did chords. I think that's a great segue. So like I've been putting that in. So you got if you're trying to make money, I'm playing it real slow. So fiddle tune, right? Big old fiddle tune, all about fiddle. Well, what I have done with a buddy of mine is we do that song, obviously better, faster, and all that other stuff. But in the middle section where you get a chance to, a fiddle player would get a chance to shine, this song's also in D minor.
You know I'm going to steal that, right?
The cool thing about that is like
That's insane, Matt.
The cool thing that I like about that, and that was maybe not perfect, but
That was
like I'm just
incredible.
kind of like riffing. The big takeaway, so if you're watching this isn't about what I can do and who I am. If you're looking like for little breadcrumbs of learning licks and stuff like that, think always in chords. And this is what I learned from a jazzer one time. He's like, he made me take a Charlie Parker solo, and he goes, okay, you know the chord because it's up top, it's in the Omni book. Now write every interval that he's doing. I'm sure you did that when you were at Berkeley. And what it does is it teaches you that's the equation.
Yep.
That's the recipe to what's going on. The final component, which I think a lot of guitar players gloss over, and what now that I'm becoming older, which is way more important, the phrasing. Not just the note selection, but where you put them and what rhythmic pattern. And I'm trying to get even more so to the point where I'm, more musical. Getting back to the Cantina Band thing, the whole thing, I had to get the book, just to be honest with you, and it's all in piano. So what did I have to do?
It's all in treble and bass clef.
Yeah, so I had to make
And you
it
read
work.
music as well, right? Obviously.
I have 2 degrees in music.
Okay. But yeah, so you and I are 2 of the only readers I know in town. I'm sure there's more, but
I
a lot
want
of
to
cats
even.
don't do it.
It's kind of like mandolin playing. I'm a mandolin owner now. I'm a book owner, but
Okay,
but as far as to read that on a gig, I would
fall apart.
I would probably fall apart. But the big takeaway on that is like you're thinking D minor, and so this is a huge, great
Let's get
little.
in a little closer. See this.
So you got. So the beginning of this is, let's just go over. Let's harmonically break it down, because this is what you have to be able to do to be like, to go from intermediate to advanced. This is the important thing that you need to be able to do.
I'm trying to go from beginner to beginner plus still.
Yeah, beginner plus. So the big thing on this, if you notice, when you do 3 notes at a time, I tell all my students this: you have pick, middle, and ring. First and foremost, we're not just flat picking, we're doing hybrid picking. So to those who are brand new, I don't want to just go over their head, but basically we're outlining these small little 3-note sections of D minor.
So it goes D minor into a C
shape, into an F. And the thing is,
and back to the D minor.
Yeah, so basically the big thing about that, and you got to get that.
It's got a specific kind of bounce to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's a swing.
Yeah, it's a swing. It's like an old big band tune or something.
And even those slides, I would, if I ever watch this, or when I watch this video, like, so that's the other element. The other element that really spices up your playing is chromaticism. We all know this. We have 12 frets on the guitar, so I just don't understand why, people that have been playing for like 30 or 40 years, I'm like, play me a lick, and they're like, great, it works on a lot of stuff, don't get me wrong. But the thing is like, well, you play blues, why not throw in some blues notes?
So do you think
chromatically walk into stuff?
You've got a really interesting harmonic selection. I mean, I think that's why we became friends, is there was a mutual understanding and love for certain music and musicians. What do you think was a lifting point or ground off point where you went like, okay, I know this pentatonic, but there's got to be more?
I think the big thing is like the intervallic kind of stuff is, you play jazz, but anybody that kind of knows, it's the 6s and 9s, bro.
Yep.
Like it's like, so you take an A chord here. Let's go to A just because it's right in the heart of the neck. So that kind of like
guitar.
that the big thing about the whole Cantina band, once again, is that you do it in groupings of 3. So like if you were thinking so that was like 16 tons kind of thing, even not even correctly, but like thinking it in this is the huge takeaway.
So you're practicing all of the triads and their inversions across the neck.
And then that's not just it. That's step 1. Step 2 is to be able to manipulate them and know the notes above and below without really changing. So if I'm thinking D, and then if I want to get crazy, you got, but if you notice, I just shifted there. So the idea is like, what, in a nutshell, essentially when I try to sound like a steel player, that's kind of what I'm doing. Give it or take it, you know, like sometimes it's great, sometimes you're just flopping around like a, you know, fish out of water. But the big thing is about that in a nutshell, it really helps me visualize stuff because I think of the chord, B, I think of the timeline of what's going on. Obviously we're working with a static chord, in this particular case D minor, but then also how can I how can I use ornamentation to make it sound more interesting?
So let's go to the key of A, right? And can you play me a simple A major triad, just on strings 2, 3, 4?
2, 3, 4.
Yeah, just.
I might think I love these shapes right here, but if you're trying to do like stuff that's diatonic, I would always think this. And that actually is a little bit of a snapshot into what I like a lot is these groupings of 3. So I would think those 3 shapes. It's kind of a caged thing.
Yeah, they're your inversions as well. Your root first, second. But like if you take that first shape we mentioned, right? So what's a simple way that you would think about using ornamentation or some kind of decoration just on something simple like that? Just for someone who perhaps has no clue of how to do anything with that shape. What's like a basic way you would explore it, or a move or anything that would get you out of that?
I would stay in this shape. I mean your fingers kind of dictate it, and the number one thing when you're kind of thinking of what shape you're in or whatever, like getting to these triads and all that, is you don't want to be shifting around too much when you first start to do this, because if you understand cage a little bit, you'll know, well, I've got this and then I've got to jump back to here. Let's stay in this shape. I would think, you know, a lot of country players are thinking in dominant 7, so I'm not shifting at all. So getting back to that kind of Brent Mason lick, I also know that I've got a flat 3 here, and I always refer to them in intervallic patterns. So like it's a flat 3 because it's compared to A. A is always the home. It's home. Gotcha. It's tonic. So we got a couple of different notes. Here's the hip thing that I'm getting at for jazz. So it's kind of borrowing from a major pentatonic, and that would be the 6.
Right. Yeah.
Now
you're always cooking with 13 chords. I love
13.
That's my favorite chord.
And 13 for the people that maybe are like, wait a second, you already lost me. All it is it's when it goes above the octave, so it's a compound interval.
Well, you have to think of the triad as 1, 3, 5, 7, and then
flat 7.
Yeah, flat 7, and then 2 and 4 and 6, which is 9, 11, 13. The upper structure stuff.
Yeah,
that
it's all comes upper structure. They're extensions of it.
That's so the Charlie Parker thing.
Yeah, we've done the 6. Here's, excuse me. And here's the 9. I mean, look at this.
It's amazing how much mileage you're getting out of such a small box.
Well,
just by thinking of those extensions and intervals, right? Like
that's really in a nutshell. And then if you chromatically, here's what chromatic stuff does is yes, it's the melodic gray area, but also I call it the ear swiper, because what it does is it kind of comes in and just grabs something. So it may sound like you're not in the key or whatever, but all you're doing is you're doing some sort of transition, and
Right.
and you can get into even funkier stuff.
But if you control the points of tension, right, which is beats 1 and 3, then you can do whatever you want. Are you ever thinking about like that? Like I have to hit a chord tone on beat 1 and 3 and...
Not really, but you also have to be like a cat. We both love cats.
Oh, yeah.
My cat's locked up right now.
Cheech. He's
good
a
old-
lovely little fellow.
He's
7 months old. He's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, he's a great little cat. But you got to land on your feet, and what I mean by
Right.
that is you can't be like something like this. So you can, but music is about tension and release. So you've got to create tension, but you also have to kind of release it. And normally a safe spot is always landing on 1, 3, or 5. The Merle Haggard lick. Flat 7.
Yeah.
So, and if you notice, also he's bending on the 9. He's bending from the 3 to the 2 or 9, and exiting or stopping on the flat 7.
Yeah, I don't think people take note of. It's interesting. A lot of people learn songs, but I think this is the distinction between someone like you who is, and like I'm not. You know, I sing your praises all day whenever I mention you. You've been very good to me since I moved to town, overly good, and I am fascinated by your playing. You know, I subbed for you once. You gave me the call, and 5 songs in, they said, "Okay, you don't have to play like Matt though, and you also can't do that." And I was trying too hard to copy your stuff. But you've always had a fascinating way of dissecting and looking at things. And I think that's the difference between a cat who looks at a song and goes, yeah, cool, I can learn the song. And then the cats who are like, I can make the song my own, but I can also create in the moment, right?
I think what it is every song is a free lesson from the masters. Like if you're having to learn the song, especially if the general public wants you to play it, which let's face it, I don't think there are a lot of people on Broadway that are just like, hey, can you play some Alan Holdsworth, or do you have a Danny Gatton song?
I've been fired for doing the Holdsworth licks.
Yeah. Well,
you've seen that. I called you after that gig, I think.
Yeah. The big thing on that is you have to be sneaky with it, and there are guys that can do it really well, and it's
think
part
you're
of their,
one of them.
their vernacular. Thank you.
Jason Jordan's one of them as well. He's very good at that.
Yeah, and great guitar
Mike
player.
Bork.
I have one of his old amps, Mike Bork.
Jim Ammoniak.
Yup,
He
Joe.
was he
Jim.
was the king.
Well, I used to get together with him and Jeff Garris, and we
Really?
used to sit in their. I think it was
Jeff
Jeff's-
Garris.
I
Jeff
think
is a
it was
mind-blowing.
it was somebody's kitchen table, and all we would do is it was like baseball cards. Is be like, hey, I'll trade you. What was that lick that you just played on this jam session? And it never failed. It was always Jimma talking about going off on some tangent and just schooling us. And,
We need
and
to,
like I can understand anybody. Like I can understand some very complex jazz theory, but the thing is when it's put in front of you and you got to learn, and you're not the one teaching. Sometimes it takes a little bit like, what the hell is he doing? Where do my fingers go? But a lot of it, the underpinning line of that is the intervallic understanding. Like if you don't know that, that's why if you check out my book, literally like page 3 is about the intervals.
Right. I remember that. You know, that's amazing you got with Jimmy and Jeff, dude, because like Jeff gave me the Chaz Wesley gig back when he was like, all right, I'm going to go be a pilot. And that's the first country gig I had at school me. But Jimmer, I was obsessed with when I moved to town. Who's this guy with 3 fingers who can outplay anyone? And then
he
I
knows
met
the
him
right notes to play, man. That's and then he could melt your face off. But a lot of it was just like, it was that the feeling that you have about me, I felt about him. I see Rory Hoffman, and that guy's from Mars.
My gosh.
I actually played like Roy today. I played like this. I didn't play like him. I I played in the same
Vein.
posture. That's about it. But basically, if you know what that is, he's got the Jeff Healey thing going on, and he can do that on 14 instruments. Like, he will destroy.
I think
He will
14 is
he
like
will
his
destroy
first
your
hand,
heart and soul, because you'll just be like, yeah, there's nothing I can do. And that's why you move down here to Nashville, is because it gives you a piece of humble pie, like, fresh and often, because
Right.
there's so many people, and a lot of it, what comes down to is that we're all working pros, we're all striving for the same thing, but the big thing is you get out of it what you put into it. So for me, I'm playing a lot more than practicing. I'm not happy about it. We talked about that before we started filming. It's just like, hey man, if you got 10 gigs a week, that's great, but now you're clocking in like a factory worker doing that, and you're putting out the tunes, and you're collecting the money and depositing it in the bank account. And I'm waving back there because that's where my music room is. Like, how much time have you spent in there? Zero.
God, dude,
So
don't
how much better are you? Why are you tired of the same crap that you've been playing all week? And why can't you get out of your rut? And this happens with pros. This happens with people that are weekend warriors. This happens with people that are hobbyists. And that's where, when I wind up teaching them, like, for instance, last night I showed a guy, we were working on Tulsa Time, 2-chord song, right?
Yep. I played that last
I turned
night.
this down because it was humming a little bit weird. This is, by the way, this is the amp that I play on a lot of gigs downtown when you see me. It's a 70s Vibrolux. I love Vibroluxes, and these are loaded with Eminence Legends. I am a proud guy of using lots of Eminence stuff. So basically, all I have is a Greer Lightspeed on.
Oh yeah.
I've been. This is a fantastic pedal.
Nick
It's on
just put out a new pedal like
the
3 days
Mojo Drive. Or
Mori Drive?
Mori Drive,
He-
yeah.
I knew
It's got
about
the
it.
Japanese print on it.
Yeah, I knew about it before it came out. I wasn't allowed to say anything.
Yeah, and then when I go to distortion, I kind of do something.
So this is that's your Nobles.
Very simple board. I always appreciated how simple you kept your pedal boards.
Well, it's a working man's pedal board, and then
Right.
you just got, like, if you're playing any Waylon.
Oh yeah.
So that's pretty much all I got, and if I'll dick around with. I don't normally only like it where it's just a little tap, and then I obviously have the MXR EQ, which is great because if you're flipping, in this case, this guitar's been played a lot. This is a Crook, by the way, 3 weeks old. Probably already
How
has
many crooks have you got now?
4.
And you're all good. You lent me your black crook for a while once. I remember when I had no telly, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, he makes
It's
great.
so good. I wanted it. I didn't want to give it back.
He makes great instruments, and here's the big deal. I know we've just went from intervals to this, that, and the other thing, but the big thing that I like about this is anybody who's owned a Martin guitar, it's over time, your hand oil lubes the back of the neck, and the necks are made great, phenomenal fret work. I love the sound of this. These have, I believe these are Fralin Blues Vintage or Blues Deluxe
I think
pickups.
it's called Blues Vintage. I'm not sure either.
Blues
Yeah.
Vintage, I believe, is what, and that's what I'm a big fan of some of the Arcane stuff. I have buds in a lot of my other guitars, and then in my Lucky Dog over there, they make their own stuff. So there's I'll grab one of those other guitars here in a second, but basically we've just covered a lot of territory.
Well, hey, just before we launch into talking about some gear, this is probably the pinnacle of the video. What I think is the most important thing. I'm in a rut. What do I
That's
do?
what we were talking about.
I'm stuck in a rut. What do I do?
Take everything that you've been working on and literally put it away for a little bit and work on only new stuff. And here's why I'm saying that is you should be able to get inspired, and if you use that kind of lick mining that stuff, or just kind of understanding, here's what I used to do is I used to go through a book, and this one was Michael Hawley book. I had a Eric Halbig book, and I would just pick one lick out of it or 2 licks, and I'd be like, all right, it's time to play that one all over the place. And if anything, what it does is first of all, it puts it into your system, and then what it allows you to do is it's like a word. It's like you're learning a new word because music is a language. So what it allows you to do is find the appropriate way to pop it in. So that could be, hey man, over this train beat, this lick works out really good. Great, that's a great little lick in A, and over a train beat it works really well. But hey, if we're doing like funky Jerry Reed kind of thing, I'm gonna have to change the phrasing of it a little bit. So
Okay.
once you kind of get that in, it's just getting it into your hand, and then not just knowing it but mastering it, and then being able to manipulate it. That's the kind of key.
Show us that lick in a kind of maybe a funk context,
So like I'm gonna do this. So a great funk context might be.
Far out. Oh man.
There's your 6 and
Oh
9.
man, come on. You know when you get into it and you play with that intention and you just get lost in the music, like you give me goosebumps. Still 5 years later, you still every time you play, like
I appreciate
yeah,
it.
you're a close friend, but far out, dude. The way you play is I think you're the most unique voice
I
in
appreciate that.
country guitar, let alone the guitar, and it's mind blowing, man.
Well,
What you just played is so stupidly good. That's a whole lesson.
Well,
right there.
it's honestly what you do. Joe Pass talks about this. Is he just thinks in kind of like major, minor, and dominant seventh chords, and the rest of those dominant seventh have alterations to it. So simplify your mind and just like take the lick. And so okay, so I sat there and I worked in my bedroom, a little bit on this Amos Moses. So the next step is like, okay, put on a backing track and now play along with it. There isn't even a solo on that one. So that's what I did for my Patreon is I wrote a solo over those parts just because like, hey man, just because you can go. By the way, I'm only using fingerings. I'm not flipping off the camera. I'm just only.
Hey, so you have a Patreon. You also do. Is it TrueFire? You do lessons with?
I do some stuff with TrueFire. I've
Cool.
been releasing courses, and
I'm
sometimes
gonna link all of this. Do you have a website?
yes, I have a website. It's Matthewleeguitar.com, and that's how you can find me on Instagram and I don't even know what my Facebook is, and I think it's Matthew Allen Lee Music on YouTube.
I'll
And
link
there's
all of the
nuggets.
stuff.
There's
Yeah.
nuggets that I do it. I think we're covering a lot more territory on this because it's sometimes when you just sit down with a camera, like you kind of want to talk about specific things, and we're kind of jumping around a little bit here. But if you notice, what I did is I took the chord changes to Amos Moses and then tried to make it my own. Fitting in. How do I fit in the lick? I know the
Right.
lick. I got my Guitar Center lick or whatever, music store lick, but can I actually do it on a song? Okay, so obviously you got the Jerry Reed funky country. You would have like maybe a 4 on the floor, and that's why whenever I teach, I always have these type of patterns that are happening going on because the groove dictates what you can play and what really maybe you shouldn't be playing or what you can get
Interesting,
away
yeah.
with. I think that it's putting it on a platter for you. It's your choice to take that stuff. Because a lot of times, sometimes I found that I'm putting a square peg in a round hole when I try to put like, hey man, I just learned this lick, I'm gonna play it. Be like, it just doesn't fit. So
Right.
that's the music end of it. So the other thing is just the ability to have it in your vernacular, have it in your dialogue, and be able to use whatever, however long. It's just like a word, man. It's just like learning a new language. And so you learned a new word. I don't know languages very well, so let's just use English for example. It's like I learned this big long word. It's the context of how to be able to fit it in to where you don't sound like you're trying too hard, and it does the same thing in music. And that's where the next level, that's where you start bumping up the level, and then you start being inspired from it and twisting it and turning it and letting time evolve. And before you know it, 6 months has gone by and you're like, holy crap, how did I come up with that?
Yep.
That's the starting point, and that's what the advanced players that are working. I teach a lot of like some working pros, and that's what they're tired of. Is they're just tired of sounding like themselves. Trust me, folks, we all get like that.
Yep.
Literally last week, I was so bored with my playing after 44 hours of being on stage with it. I just couldn't take it. I had to take a break. So, in a nutshell, that's how to kind of approach that.
And then for all the people, this is the reward for learning gear. So you're a big Paisley Telly kind of guy. That's like what I've learned about you. That's a thing for you. That's what
I
you
like it. He was a huge influence and the reason why I wanted to move down here. Obviously, when you have guitar-centric stuff on, I remember being on the cover of Guitar World, and they're like, it's Eddie Van Halen on Cornbread, and Eddie was one of my favorites ever. Am I a rocker now? No. But back in the day, like, sure as shit, like I was celebrating his entire catalog, and it was
Really?
just,
I never knew this about you.
oh, big time.
I knew you were a Brad Paisley guy and like hence the Paisley guitars. I never knew you were an Eddie guy.
Oh, huge. And I couldn't play any of his stuff right now because it's just been so long.
It's
been
also
playing
it's
guitar
Eddie.
for like almost 40 years, so I'm
Oh,
not
wow,
gonna, I'm
yeah.
not going to trash any of his stuff, but huge amount of respect. That was where I got in, to playing. I'm in my 40s, so like 1984 came out and I was like 8 years old, and dude, that changed my life. And then Crossroads, the movie, came out, as I've already stated
Yep.
in this video. So needless to say, I've gone the rock and roll, a lot of rock and roll, and then I went to school, and I'm like, I got to be able to read, and I'm going to have to do jazz, and so I did South American classical music, some of which I released during COVID. I put out some stuff, and nobody really seemed. They're like, "What are you doing?" Like. But that's the core of who I am. So, but
Incredible.
now country and western are the two hats that I primarily wear.
Amazing. So, hey, you've explained a bit about this guitar. Last thing on this guitar before we switch guitars. That probably weighs about 6 pounds. What is it?
Yeah, this is a light ash, and I don't know the specifics on
I
it 'cause
build
it's
and I
painted.
can't find light ash. I think Bill has a stock. Oh, show us the back of the guitar.
Yeah,
Oh, that's gorgeous. Bill
Yeah.
is probably the best at Paisley in the world, I reckon.
And that's
Yeah.
a big call, but like I don't know anyone else who can do this.
and this is also
holographic
like
stuff.
this is a slightly different bridge than what you're gonna find on some of the other ones, and I can show you on my
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
Oh, it's
so-
got a little like cutout.
Yeah, but on his other ones, they're a little bit different. And I typically, on this one, I went old school and just did 3. So, for
Oh,
example,
I've never played a guitar of yours with a 3-way switch.
I think I've already showcased quite a bit on that.
Let's if you don't mind, do you mind pulling out that gold?
And just keep in mind, this one doesn't have like, these strings are like 3 gigs on this one. I love my Diodario, shout out to Diodario, but like, I just didn't have time to change them. So hopefully that they're speaking to you.
Matt, I just changed my strings after 3 months. I'm like Gatton though. I like strings. Like I used to do the whole, when I was a smoker, I would pull the cigarette ash and wipe it all over my strings, so I had complete.
Here's another one that I might plug it in, but this guy's a wonderful builder, and he does a lot for me, so I don't want to not give him a shout out. But check that out. That's got the Buck Owens vibe, my name, and then the TriStar actually done correctly. Tennessee company called Lucky Dog Guitars.
I didn't know Lucky Dog was in Tennessee.
They're
the
in
Evangelist.
Cleveland, Tennessee. He just played on the Opry too,
Really?
with T.G. Graham.
Wow. Oh, T.G. Graham. Oh, cool. I never knew that.
So
I never knew that.
this is another one, and That one's been on the road, the Lucky Dog, so it's a half step down and the strings are a
Who
little
are
bit
you
bad.
on the road with now?
I play with a guy named Jesse Daniel.
Cool.
And
where did
not
you go?
Daniels. He's we went all over Europe. We actually piggybacked on a lot of the tour with Brad Paisley. So
Oh, sick.
So-
Did you and Brad get to hang out?
me and Zach Childs did, and I've been on Zach's.
Zach's awesome, dude. Zach's one of the first people I met in town as well.
Yeah, he was really nice to me and allowed me on it. And we met, and Randall Curry showed up to one of our gigs at the hottest gig in Copenhagen because they don't have AC over in Europe, and it's just like torturous, like how bad it was. But they were all great people, and I on the fishing song with that badass steel guitar, I'm like, oh, cool. So you're recording with Brad? That's a great solo on that. He goes, that's not me. That's Mike Johnson.
And Mike Johnson's out with Reba now, I think.
Foot in mouth.
Hey,
So this is a little bit different. So the project on this, to talk a little bit about this, is if you notice the metal flake on this is
pretty crazy.
it's
I
just
don't even
light.
know.
It's subtle. And the whole reason is I wanted to make my own version of a Les Paul top, kind of top, but with a little bit of metal flake and a Danny Gatton type thing. That's how
Oh,
much.
because he has those kind of that's his telly is the gold.
Yeah,
with
the kind of that.
buttons.
It's like a 70s. I don't know car paint. I don't want to screw up the wrong, but you get that mustard.
I think it's like an Aztec gold, maybe. I don't know. I really should know,
But then take a look at the bridge. So I just showed you the other one. This is, I think it's Chandler was the company.
that looks
This
like a
is-
Chandler bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the old school one. You can't get them anymore.
And
then-
hang on, my favorite saddles in the world. Is that what I see? Are they Groove Master saddles? No, they're not. Oh, I'm just short-sighted. What are those?
I don't know.
They look like Callahan's or something.
Yeah, Callahan's. That's
Yeah,
what it
I-
is.
Yeah, thought you had Groove
Callahan
Masters
Auto
with-
Parts.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So in this one, the other thing that I like, because I tend to do I used to do this. Now I have a foot pedal, but I'm gonna do this. I used to mess around with the volume and tone knob, and I like the bigger ones. So I think they're heavy, gnarled ones. And then this one's all got one extra position. So you've got your bridge.
What is that bridge pickup?
These are all buds. So these
Okay.
are all wound by him, and I just wanted a vintage sounding vibe. I don't know if it's your camera influencing that a little bit, so it's not the amp, trust me. I just had it worked on at Shaw.
So those are both buds. Now you've got four positions, which I know your telly's for, but I've never known what the fourth position does. So give us a round
The
up.
big difference is to basically you kind of got this, middle position. I think it's an in and an out of phase thing, kind of.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
It's almost like this is the segue to now
Yeah.
having an even darker neck. That's what it sounds like to me. I might, at a different point, maybe even move the pickups a little bit because the amount, it's a lot of it when you're doing the pickups thing. I really like a lots of output, and that's another thing Danny was into. I
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
Bardens and they.
That's too much.
They're
That's too
ice
ice
pick.
picky.
Yeah,
That's
so
too
I
ice
can't-
picky for me.
I can't do it.
I've tried to do them, not for me. But I like having just a little bit of drive, and I think that's what another influence of Brad is. He kind of has that more driven sound. He's got I still like the low end scoop. If you could tell, take a look at this EQ right here. That's about kind of how. This is what fits for this particular example. And then also notice I don't have a lot of drive on this Greer Lightspeed.
Oh, none at all.
I only like using it as a boost. And if your strings are dead, here's the cool part. Woo, done. So I just kind of bring it down there. My big thing for me is I kind of feel like when you've had cymbals crash in your ears for 17 and a half down here at least, the big thing is you kind of want to save them. And what's happening is I'm thinking that I'm putting too much high end on my tone.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I find the tone that I like from a guitar is like Love James Mitchell's tone.
Oh, yeah.
William Bagby's got great tone. Eugene Moles is another guy.
Hey, there's the most underappreciated player in Nashville, I think, sometimes. Eugene Moles is
Well, him,
mind-blowing.
he's the one that kind of brought William Bagby, and I'm not going to, step on that whole story, but like he showed him a lot. And you want to talk about Bakersfield unique playing, boy, that guy's got it.
Well, he's a Bakersfield boy.
He played with Merle Haggard.
Yeah,
His
there
dad
you go.
was Gene Moles. Like, do a little Googling on that, and you'll be like, oh, they're
Gene
not
played
lying.
with Buck, which is, it doesn't get any
Lots
better.
of Don Rich stories that he has, and he could tell you better than me, but I just know that where my appreciation for him is it's the same thing that you're kind of saying, is he's just really unique and just has a different take on stuff.
I feel like if you combine him and Danny Muhammad, that's like the kind of grandfathers of this kind of jazz country thing you and I are really going for. You know what I mean?
Well, that was part of the West Coast thing, and it's country and Western.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened is nowadays people are like TikTok country fans, but they're not Western fans, and it's all about the dance. It's all about the lifestyle. And a lot of people in the West, they had ranches, they had cattle, they were cowboys. They did also like to swing. And I think that's why when I gave up a lot of the other stuff I was doing, including bluegrass, because I was a mandolin player in bluegrass. Once again, I'm a mandolin owner now. I'm not even gonna dig that sucker out of the case. But basically, like, that's what I liked it. Is I'm like, wait, I could kind of do my jazz thing. Then I heard Red Volkart play. And, speaking of which, and I have 2 songs I wrote with Red Volkart on my YouTube now. One of them did pretty well. It's called Twang Thang.
I'll send a link down to that one in the
and
bio.
then the other one is a spaghetti western called String Walker Ranch. So if you're familiar with Skinwalker Ranch, it's a take on that. So, and it's a spaghetti western. So a lot of my instrumentals that I want to release, my vibe when I want to create is like, so the next stuff that you'll be the first to hear it because nobody's ever heard it. Might as well put it on YouTube. Here's breaking news. Is I want to do a heist instrumental featuring guitar, and I'll do it on a telly and all that. I think that there are a lot of really cool things that you can do with it, and then maybe a surf rock tune. And I've got another. I have a thing that I'm not going to say on YouTube because it was an epiphany, and it was while I was driving home recently. I'll save that for a later point. Getting back to, like, the players and all the innovations and all that. There's just so many badasses down here. Sometimes I'm upset I'm not a huge influencer or a big time session player or whatever, but I'm thankful for what I have, and I think that's kind of what you got to do.
I think, well, just know, as we wrap up here, just know for me, you've been one of the biggest influences in my guitar life. And I'm the first to tell anyone that when they're like, oh, do you know this fella? I'm like, yeah, dude used to stay up on the phone with me and help me out when I knew nothing and knew no one. So
well, that's what it's about, man. You see some people and they're hungry like you are, and now you've got your foothold. You're doing the YouTube thing. Clearly, I'm terrible at it. You only have so much time for certain things, and my big takeaway is like a lot. I just kind of feel like in the music business, once you add business to that music word, it complicates things a lot. And I like touching my instrument, and
I'm more interested in that as well.
Yeah,
we should have a play then.
What's that?
Let's have a play. Let's play some tunes. I'll say this as well. Remember the gig we did at the Valentine last year? I wish that never ended.
Yeah.
That was the most fun I've had. I played like a different beast. All right, we're going to leave this here, and we're going to do some playing, maybe a little lesson. How about that?
Okay.
Cool. Thank you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.